Guys, welcome to the Goals and Good Vibes Masterclass. This is something that we use with all of our members at Performance Playground at the beginning of the year, or for any new members who are stepping in to the gym throughout the year to help you set goals that are number one, meaningful, number two, achievable, but number three, empowering. So, what I would suggest in order to do this, we've got a PDF link down below. That'll be a fillable PDF that you can sort of type into online to make sure that it's all stored on your computer. Or you can print that out, write on it, or you can just use this as a guide to help you set goals in one of your personal journals. Okay? If you've got any questions at the end, just message them through via the Performance Playground training app. I will reach out to you personally and get back to you on these. And then I will also use that information to create a Q&A so we can help people in the future. But let's get things started. So we're going to start off on the first page. What is the purpose of this masterclass? We kind of went through it. I know that a lot of people know how to set goals. We know that they're really important for giving us direction, focus, helping with our productivity, and keeping us motivated. But most of the time, people lack the execution. We either overlook it, we go, I don't really need that. We undercook it. We go, okay, cool. I'm just going to set something really achievable for maybe 3 weeks, and then I'm not going to look at anything beyond that. Or we overcomplicate the process where we set out way too many things at the beginning, no pathway to get there, and we get overwhelmed and give up. So I see this really, really often in the gym setting, but also outside the gym. So today we're going to learn how to basically do that really, really well, take responsibility for that process, learn to trust the process along the way, and then also shift our brain towards thinking of growth mindset instead of a fixed and limiting mindset. Our first section, what we want to work through is we've got the reflection phase. Then we're going to move on to our wheel of balance, which will look at our lifestyle. Then we're going to actually set these goals, plan a successful pathway, and then work at overcoming any potential roadblocks. So let's start things off with our reflection. If you look at the top of this page, you can see we've got a bit of a definition between growth and fixed mindset. Growth mindset is one that is empowering. It promotes freedom. It's one where you're okay to take on challenges, make mistakes, to learn from it. Whereas a fixed mindset is usually a little bit more of a limiting mindset, where you're a bit more fearful of challenges, of failing. And therefore we say, hey, I'm just going to work at this capacity because I don't want to risk any failure, basically. And we want to shift more towards growth, because once we do that, it's what allows us to go and become better, okay, for the long term. Now, let's have a quick look at this first section. So if we come down, we've got some questions down the side, and then we have subjective and objective answers to this. Before we go through the questions, let's just determine what is subjective and what is objective. Essentially, a subjective is more about your feelings, okay? So it's something that's a bit more personalized to you. An example of this was with my training last year. I felt like I was getting much stronger week to week. Whereas the objective side is more of the facts. This is like the cold, hard facts that pretty much can justify what your subjective feelings are. So, for example, I might have noticed my back squat go from 80 kilos to 100 kilos in a year, and that was a really objective measure. So essentially, if I'm like, hey, I felt like I was getting stronger with my squat all year, that is the subjective side. And then I saw that my back squat went from 80 to 100 within that year period. That was the objective measure that basically justified how I was feeling. Sometimes these don't link up as well, which is why it's good to see both sides, because sometimes we don't see the objective results, but we do feel a lot better, and that's okay. But also it keeps us on track with, is this actually happening in reality? Okay, so let's dive into our first question. First one is, what went well last year? Now, if we're starting halfway through the year, what you want to do, cast yourself back 3, 6, 12 months, okay? And just write that there instead. Just make sure that you're being clear on what this time frame is. But yeah, let's start to get some goals down, some subjective things. So what did you achieve? How did you feel that was positive over that last year? And then some objective things. So I might say, I felt much more energized throughout the day. And then my objective is I averaged 5 sessions a week instead of my usual my previous 3. So that's progress. Okay. Next, we want to have a quick look at what didn't go well last year. Okay, so we think about the challenges. Was there anything that really stuck out specifically, or was there a general trend that you found that sort of held you back a little bit last year? This is going to help us sort of identify what we maybe need to overcome to go and achieve our goals this year. For example, I got really sick in July for a month, and barely trained. Cool. Another one is from July to August, my bench press went down 5 kilograms. Something along those lines, or I gained X amount of weight, or I was unable to hold a handstand for this amount of time. What lessons did you learn from here? We want some positives and some negatives. With this, you can have objective facts that correlate to that, but a lot of it will be feeling a little bit more subjective in that. It's more sort of some of the things that you felt about yourself, and it's okay to have positive lessons and negative lessons. So we can use the work that we did above to help us create the answer for this question here. One of the positive lessons is that when I go to the gym, I feel more energized throughout the day. So if I'm feeling tired, maybe going home and watching TV is not the best answer. Maybe going to the gym will help me feel more energized. A negative lesson that I learned could be when I got sick, I let the wheels fall off. I should have looked to maintain something along that time. Even if I just drop the intensity back, I drop the amount of sessions back. I make sure that I still have the habits in place so that I'm not essentially losing as much ground over time. Once we've done that, we should have a little bit more clarity on what needs to stop or change from last year in order to succeed from this year. So if you see in these 3 questions above, we've looked at what we did really well. We've looked at what was a challenge. We've looked at the lessons that we learned in there, and then we use that to decide, hey, what needs to stop or what needs to stay last year or in the past that's not going to help us get to our goals this year. Okay, so take your time to write that down. If we look at the next page, we also want to make sure that when we're doing this, we're not just hyper-focusing on one area, because I feel like that's where a lot of people go wrong with their goals, is they go, hey, here's my goal. Now I'm just going to hyper-focus towards that, and everything else in my life goes away from it. So if I wanted to improve my running, I just go and run, and then I leave out all my strength training, mobility, all this sort of stuff that falls by the wayside. And then I got my running goal, but the rest of my life is now not as balanced. Or it could be hey, I want to train more, I want to go and run, but now what I'm doing is I'm training so much that my sleep, my recovery, my nutrition is going down the drain. So it's really important to find balance with this. So what we're going to use is the wheel of balance to help us distinguish how this fits into our life. So we want to use a rating of 5 out of 5 to help us rate these categories, and then we're going to plot them on the wheel below. Okay, so we're going to look at our training. Now, when we're looking at our training, we're talking about consistency, frequency. Are we making progress? And number 1, are we enjoying that as well? Okay, so use that in your rating, and then because it is a little bit subjective, put your reasoning why that is that score next to it. Okay, so I might say my training is a 4. I say I really enjoy my training. Oops, well, I can't spell. And have achieved a 10-second handstand, but often miss sessions when work gets stressful. Okay, so that's why I'm a 4. My sleep, I'm looking at the duration. So am I getting enough sleep? That's where we're looking, cool. Can I get 7 to 8 hours of actual sleep time a night? What's my quality like? Am I waking up a lot throughout the night? If you have wearables, you can see these as well. Do I have a consistent routine that I follow, or am I just sort of like going to bed at different times and waking up at different times each day? And then what is the impact of my sleep on the next day? Do I wake up feeling energized, or do I wake up feeling exhausted for the next day? Our recovery, we can look at how are we recovering between sessions. So that could be from day to day. Cool. Am I pulling up really, really sore every single day, or am I able to moderate that within the sessions? So, in particular, when we're doing sweat sessions, like how do I respond to intensity and endurance? Am I able to keep up with the class, the pace of the class, or is that actually going backwards? Just have a look and see how that is. Next is our nutrition. We're looking at the quantity. Am I eating enough food? Am I eating enough calories to sustain my performance throughout the week? What is the quality of that food? So am I getting my macronutrients in, and am I getting high quality nutritious foods in? Frequency, do I fast? Do I eat regularly? Is it sporadic? What is my routine? And how consistent are you with this? Is this like I go and do 3 fantastic days and then the remaining 4 for the week are poor, and I'm just sort of like winging it and I'm making bad decisions and stuff? Use that to guide your rating. Daily activity, we're looking at daily steps. So can we hit 10,000 steps a day? Our activities outside of the gym as well. Are we just focusing on the gym, or are we doing other things outside of the gym to support our life? And do we play any sports as well? So you can use that to guide your rating. Final one is our lifestyle. What's our relationships, work stress, social life looking like? Because at the end of the day, it's all well and good to go and achieve your goals inside the gym. But if it's taking away from things that are outside the gym massively, well, then in that case, is it 100% worth diving so deep into that? Or do you want something that's a bit more sustainable, that's going to actually provide value for your life? These are the questions we want to ask. Once we've been able to map that out, then we can actually log our score by just giving a little tick in the right area on here. So if I say, hey, cool, my training was, 4, my sleep was 5, my recovery was 5, my nutrition though, it's down at 2, daily activities at 2, and then my lifestyle is at 3. I will then, if I was to draw a line between these dots, it will give me a shape. And what we want to see with that shape is we want it to be large and symmetrical or circular the whole way through. If it's jagged, it will show you lack of balance. If it's small, it will show you maybe just a lack of quality and quantity of those areas that we need to improve. And if it's really round and it's super large, well, then you've got a really balanced lifestyle. So now we're going to actually start to set our goals. We want to use this SMART principle, which hopefully everyone's heard of, but specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely to help quantify these goals a little bit as well, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to think about where we want to be for this year, at the end of this year. Think about how we want to feel, how we want to look, what does our lifestyle look like, and do we have any specific achievements over that time frame? So I may use this to be like, cool, I want to feel more confident in the way that I look. Cool. I want to actually look physically a little bit broader through the shoulders, a little bit smaller through the waist. Or I want to have bigger legs or something along those lines. Or I just want to look healthy and I just want to look like an athletic person. It can be really specific or it could be a bit more broad. My lifestyle, I want to make sure that on the weekends I'm, getting out and being active and seeing friends, and I'm doing things that like fill my cup up as opposed to take away from my week. And then any specific achievements, cool. I really want to come out of the year with a strict ring muscle up, and I want to deadlift 160 kilos or something like that. Double my body weight by the end of the year. Once we've got this, we want to then start to ask ourselves, why? And now this is the 5 whys methodology, and it really helps you make your goals smart, but also it just helps us understand the purpose behind our goals, why these are important. If you want an actual example of this, click on the link at the bottom of this page. It will take you through all the details of that. But essentially what we want to do is take some of those goals and then ask why 5 times, okay? Because that really allows you to dive deep into that topic. So for example, why do I want to achieve a strict ring muscle up? My first time I say that, it could be because it's really cool. Okay, why is it really cool? Or why do I think that's really cool? Well, I love that it requires strength and mobility to get into the position, and it's not just about adding weight to a bar. Okay, so why is that important to you? And then you go, well, because I'm actually able to utilize my strength and my mobility in ways that maybe other people aren't able to do. I ask again, why? It could be, well, because I want to stand out from the average person. I don't want to settle for being average. I want to go above and beyond and show people what's capable of being achieved. I want to be a good role model for my future kids, for people in the community. It could be anything like that. And now, as you see, as you start to peel back the layers and you ask more times why that's important, you start to get a deeper understanding of that goal to you and the purpose behind that. And then what that's going to do is keep you on track throughout the year when you actually go and maybe come across some roadblocks. You've got understanding of why you're going to the gym. So run through that activity. It is really, really good for helping you get heaps of clarity around these goals. And you can always set little ones as well based on that. So it may allow you to actually set some process goals along the way. Once we have those goals set in place, we have an understanding, we've asked why a couple of times. What we want to do is we want to start to write some of these down, okay? We want to look at our BHAG goals, which is our big, hairy, audacious goal, and this should be empowering. So for example, I've never done gymnastics before, and I come in and I say, I want to do a strict ring muscle up. I'm going to put that down. It might feel like it's out of reach right now, but I want to put that down because that's what's going to drive me. And if I understand why that's important, then I will keep being driven towards that goal. Also, I want to make sure that I'm checking in throughout the year to make sure I'm on track with this and I want to give myself some wins. So therefore I need to set some shorter term benchmarks in order to get there. Also, this is where you can actually message me and I can directly help you break down some of those goals. So I want to achieve a muscle up by the end of the year. What's the benchmark? Okay, cool. By July, we want you to be able to do 3 strict chin ups, and 3 strict ring dips. Fantastic benchmarks. By the end of, let's say, September, we want you to be able to do a muscle up negative. And then by November, you should be looking at doing banded muscle ups so we can add that final piece to the movement. So you've got 4 different check marks along the way. What this will do for you is now, even if you don't achieve that strict ring muscle up goal in this year, you're not disheartened. You can still see yourself chipping away at that goal and you're still achieving multiple goals along the way to this really big one. So I think it's really, really good for helping you get there. And then the final one is what actions will get me to that goal. So for a lot of people, if it's specific to gymnastics or lifting or something along those lines, the good thing is one of your processes could be, hey, attending 1, 2, 3, 4, however many gymnastics, lift or sweat classes based on what the goal is per week, because we are organizing this program. If it's something that's a little bit, maybe it's more like weight loss focused, it's like, okay, my goal is to lose, 5 kilograms by August. Well, then, some of my benchmarks could be kilogram focused. It could be nutrition focused. But then one of the processes is making sure that number one, I train 4 days a week. I do 2 strength sessions. I do 1 conditioning and 1 gymnastics or whatever the structure is or whatever you enjoy as well. And then the other process that I need to do is that I prepare my meals on a Sunday night for the next 3 days, and then again on Wednesday for the next 2 days, to make sure that I'm making healthy decisions. Stuff like that that's the example of the processes that we want to do. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in there. You can use all of them. You can use one of them. But what we want to come out from this is we want to make sure that we've got at least 1 big goal for the year, potentially 2. And then we have a couple of sort of 6-month and 3-month goals in there as well, to make sure that when we're pushing for the end of the year, we're not just looking at December, we're looking at how do we get there along the way. Okay. So that's how we're creating a pathway to success. And then once we've done that, so once we've actually distinguished our specific goals, now we need to pretty much plan to make sure that if something goes wrong, that we're not just going to let the wheels fall off. Because I see a lot, like at the beginning of the year, we're so empowered to start our goals, and then all of a sudden, work ramps up, something in life happens, and all these things start to come in, and the goals fall to the wayside, the wheels can start to fall off, and then we completely lose track of where we are. Things will go wrong. Nothing is going to be perfect throughout the year. And if it is perfect, fantastic. But the likelihood is that something is going to come in that's going to try and deter you from your goals. So what we need to do is forecast a little bit of this, see are there any things that really are going to jump out throughout the year, and then actually plan what we do when that happens so that we're prepared. With this one, we look at the roadblock. What's stopping you from achieving this? This could be right now. It could also be in the future. And then the strategy is what actions can we take to overcome these? So if I'm thinking about this, what's stopping you from achieving this? It could be, let's have a quick think about something. Let's think about a goal. Let's go with the strict ring muscle up again. What's stopping you from achieving this? Oh, I have a likelihood. I have a really niggly right shoulder. And if I'm going too hard at the beginning, it just flares up massively. And then what happens is I just lose motivation and I move on. I stop. Instead of modifying, I just go and don't come. Okay. So cool. My right shoulder's the roadblock. How do we overcome this? We look at strategies to do this. Okay, cool. We need to check in maybe every 2 weeks and see how the shoulder is actually responding to the training. And if something happens, you communicate straight away to the coach or myself, and we strategize how to get around that in the moment. Second thing as well is that we want to make sure that we are all about building momentum for this training. So if I'm looking at my muscle up, I know that my right shoulder is susceptible to injury. I need to make sure that I'm not going in too hard at the beginning. I'm just building up and I'm looking at things on a 4-week basis. I'm just going through and gradually every 4 weeks, I'm just increasing my intensity a little bit more to make progress throughout the year so that I'm not just coming in hot, getting injured, and then burning out from there. That would be 2 very simple strategies. The other thing is maybe having some mobility and prehab work to do on the side. That would be a question that you'd shoot to me or one of our coaches to make sure that we can help you with that. But this is where your Q&As are going to be really, really important for us to help tailor this to you. But what I want you guys to do is to spend some time working through these questions, fill out the forms, and then you send any questions that you need a hand with. You can even send your complete form to us. We will have a look at it and help you actually plan this out for the long term. And then, as I said, as this grows, we'll create Q&As to help you guys along the way as well. All right. Perfect. That is it for our Goals and Good Vibes workshop today. As I said, if you've got any questions or need more help, just reach out and we'll help you straight away. Otherwise, we'll see you in the gym. Let's go and smash it, guys. Boom.